Hello, this is Elizabeth, and welcome back to Root of Ramose, a poetry series in which we observe the mechanics, aesthetics, and meaning of the greatest founding texts of the Western poetic tradition. Today, we're continuing our textual analysis of the Epic of Gilgamesh by looking at Tablet 4, where Gilgamesh and Enkidu are on their way to fight Humbaba. In this video, I'll be covering the dream rituals they perform during their travels, some notes on the 5 dreams Gilgamesh experiences, and then discuss how tension and scope is crafted within the tablet's dramatic sequence. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started with this poetic analysis of Tablet 4. At 20 leagues they broke bread, at 30 leagues they pitched camp, 50 leagues they traveled in the course of a day. By the 3rd day, a march of a month and a half, nearer they drew to Mount Lebanon. From this stanza, we see Enkidu and Gilgamesh are traveling to the cedar forest of Lebanon, where Humbaba resides. With following the counsel they had received prior to leaving, they are performing distinct tasks within a definite measure of time and space. The ritual continues to the next stanza. Facing the sun, they dug a well. They put fresh water in. Gilgamesh climbed to the top of the mountain. To the hill he poured down an offering of flour. O mountain, bring me a dream, so I see a good sign. So let's break down why they may be performing these tasks. It makes sense that they need to dig a well facing the sun, so that it can be within sight and therefore influence of Shamash. The use of fresh water could be a reference to the Sumerian creation story, and the belief that life sprung from the primordial waters. So this corresponds with the idea that they are constructing something out of the ether. We then see Gilgamesh as the one climbing to the top of the mountain, pouring a libation of flour, and then communing with the mountain, asking to be brought a dream and a good sign. In the next stanza, we see what the other half of the duo is up to. Enkidu made for Gilgamesh a house of the dream god. He fixed a door in its doorway to keep out the weather. In the circle he had drawn he made him lie down, and falling flat like a net lay himself in the doorway. So while we have Gilgamesh going up into the wild, Enkidu is creating shelter. This appears to be a clear inversion of both their natural character, as if it's an alteration and they are going against the natural order of things by acting outside of their expected role. Circles are very rich in symbolic meaning. They can be used to reference the sun, or be used to reference eternity or unity. In this context, I believe that the circle is included as a marking in order to unify Gilgamesh to the visitation of the dream god. With the last line, we have the simile, falling flat like a net lays himself in the doorway. Not only is this simile illustrating the manner in which Enkidu lays on the ground, but it also suggests the purpose of Enkidu laying down in the doorway. Like a net, he will capture their aim. So in a way, Enkidu's role for the ritual is now a kind of spiritual net or a dream catcher. Gilgamesh rested his chin on his knees. Sleep fell upon him that spills over people. In the middle of the night, he reached his sleep's end. He rose and spoke to his friend. So here, Gilgamesh is condensing his body, curling up into a ball. And there may be a kind of congruency between this ball-like pose and the circle on the ground, a kind of mimicry within different planes of the material and the metaphysical. In line 15, the text reiterates that Gilgamesh is experiencing a natural sleep. Now I know that given Gilgamesh is considered 2/3 of divine nature, that it does endow him with a different relationship with sleep than that of an average person. We know from Tablet 1, line 239, Shamat told Enkidu about Gilgamesh that unsleeping he is by day and by night. However, only a few lines later we're told that Gilgamesh does dream, but it appears that his dreams are in relation to prophecy. This characteristic is illustrated yet again in this case. Think of how unsettled this description is. Gilgamesh is awaking, not in the morning, but in the middle of the night, again displaying something uncanny and unnatural about the ritual. Immediately, in a sort of frenzy, Gilgamesh speaks to Enkidu. "My friend, did you not call me? Why have I wakened? Did you not touch me? Why am I startled? Did a god not pass by? Why is my flesh frozen numb? My friend, I have had the first dream." These 6 questions build up to the final proclamation of the dream's visitation. They are composed of epiphetics, a kind of sensory negation used in order to define a nature of something. So we have this absence of stimuli being referenced in order to properly illustrate the void of material explanation that Gilgamesh has for his experience. This sensory negation is being used to show the anxious confusion that Gilgamesh is experiencing. The structure aids in creating a tone of suspense and anticipation for the scene. It also shows us that Gilgamesh is in desperate need of his friend's counsel and for his dream to be interpreted. Before we move on to talking about each of the 5 dreams, I just want to mention that everything that we've discussed from lines 1 to 20 are repeated before each dream. So they are performing this ritual each time the same way as they travel to the cedar forest of Lebanon. Regarding these dreams, there is an obvious play between distance and how symbols are used to both reveal and conceal the spiritual nature of what will come to pass for Gilgamesh and this journey. The uniting thread for each dream is that there is always an uneasiness surrounding it. It adds to the tension of the narrative. Additionally, as Enkidu and Gilgamesh travel closer to their destination, the dreams become more vivid and house symbols that are smaller and more distinct and recognizable. With each dream's account, Gilgamesh is fearful and confused, and is consoled by the interpretation of Enkidu. Each time, he is reassured of what is to pass. "The dream that I had was in utter confusion. In a mountain valley, the mountain fell down on top of. Then we, like... My friend, the mountain you saw could not be Humbaba. We shall capture Humbaba. Him we shall slay. We shall cast down his corpse on a field of battle. The next morning we shall see a good sign from the sun god." So in this first dream, it's unknown what the mountain is and what role it plays, but it's then clarified in the next dream. "In my dream, my friend, a mountain, it threw me down, it held me by my feet. The brightness grew more intense. A man appeared, the comeliest of the land, his beauty. From beneath the mountain he pulled me out, and he gave me water to drink, and my heart grew calm. On the ground he set my feet." Enkidu spoke to him, saying to Gilgamesh, "My friend, we shall. He is different altogether. Humbaba is not the mountain. He is different altogether. Come, cast aside your fear." So again, there is still concealment about the nature of the mountain. However, now we're being introduced to more intricate details represented in the second dream. "It threw me down, it held me by my feet." This to me suggests that the mountain represents a strong presence, perhaps a god that is in opposition with Shamash, who is shown overpowering Gilgamesh and knocking him off his path. Additionally, we have a brightness growing intense, signifying something of a divine nature, and out of this brightness a man appears. So this is something separate from the mountain altogether. And this man is assisting Gilgamesh, pulling him out of the mountain's oppression, providing water to revitalize his spirit and to set him back on his feet to regain his journey's position. "My friend, I have had the third dream. The dream that I had was in utter confusion. Heaven cried aloud while earth did rumble. The day grew still, darkness came forth. There was a flash of lightning, fire broke out. The flames flared up, death rained down, and the flashes of fire went out. Where it had fallen turned to cinders." So here we're getting a lot of sensory details. Rather than a focus on a mountain, the description is including the domain of sky and earth, both being impacted. A storm is coming with lightning, a quick, unpredictable force. The imagery here is so vivid. Fire broke out, death rained down, then ashes falling. This is a kind of transmutation or destruction being displayed. We finally get a clear idea of how the dreams relate to Gilgamesh with Enkidu's interpretation. We draw, my friend, ever nearer to the forest. The dreams are close, the battle soon. We will see the radiant auras of the god, of Humbaba, whom in your thoughts you fear so much. Locking horns like a bull you will batter him, and force his head down with your strength. The old man you saw is your powerful god, the one who begot you, divine Lugalbanda. Finally, they are close enough to have a spiritual witness of the battle with Humbaba, and that there is another participant in this event, the father of Gilgamesh, Lugalbanda. My friend, I have had the fourth dream. It surpasses my other 3 dreams. I saw a thunderbird in the sky. Up it rose like a cloud soaring above us. Its visage distorted. Its mouth was fire, its breath was death. There was also a man. He was strange of form, and stood there in my dream. He bound its wings and took hold of my arm. He cast it down before me, upon it. Here, the thunder we saw in the previous dream is more distinctly manifested as a thunderbird in the sky. We see concealment being used in order to create an advantage. It's described with the same descriptors previously used when discussing Humbaba, that his mouth is fire and his breath was death. Then we see that separate man binding the power of Humbaba and presenting it to Gilgamesh. Enkidu then reiterates what Gilgamesh shared, and then he adds, "You will fear its awesome splendor. I shall, its foot, and let you arise." So ultimately, Enkidu reiterates to Gilgamesh what he had shared from his dream, and he accounts it back to him. And then ultimately, Enkidu is saying that they will be able to strip Humbaba of his power and stand upon him, as in conquer Humbaba in combat. And then we have the final dream. My friend, I had a dream, how ominous it was, how desolate, how unclear. I had taken me hold of a bull from the wild. As it clove the ground with its bellows, the clouds of dust it raised thrust deep in the sky, and I, in front of it, leaned myself forward. Taking hold of, closed my arms, he extricated me by force. My cheek, he gave me water to drink from his water skin, and then Enkidu explains, "The god, my friend, we are going against, he's not the wild bull, he is different altogether. The wild bull that you saw was shining Shamash. He will grasp our hands in time of peril. The one who gave you water to drink from his skin was your god who respects you, divine Lugalbanda. We shall join forces and do something unique, a feat that never has been in the land." Here, this final dream is strange because it's almost as if Gilgamesh is unknowingly fighting against Shamash, as if he's wanting to abate the path that Shamash has sent him down. Yet, there is still Lugalbanda, his ancestor, assisting in his journey. As we see represented in these dreams, as Gilgamesh nears the battle with Humbaba, more information is revealed to him, and his fear only grows, and we see this illustrated even in the next lines. "Why, my friend, do your tears flow? O offshoot sprung from Uruk's mist, now stand and Gilgamesh the king offshoot sprung from Uruk's mist." Shamash heard what he had spoken. Straight away from the sky there cried out a voice, "Hurry, stand against him. Humbaba must not enter his forest. He must not go down to the grove. He must not. He must not wrap himself in his 7 cloaks. 1 he is wrapped in, 6 he has shed. They, like a fierce wild bull, horns locked. He bellowed once, a bellow full of terror. The guardian of the forest was bellowing. Humbaba thundering like a god of the storm. Here the urgency of the situation is made apparent by "hurry. He must not, he must not." The section also explains to us that Humbaba derives strength from his forest as well as the 7 cloaks that he wears. In a way, it's almost as if Humbaba's strength comes from concealment and mystery. Continuing on, This section does a phenomenal job at capturing the imagery and emotion as it continues with a dialogue between our two heroes. In these final moments before confrontation, Enkidu and Gilgamesh talk. Now, Enkidu's arms grow stiff. Gilgamesh asks, "Why, my friend, do we speak like weaklings? Was it not we crossed all the mountains?" This confrontation with Humbaba is more than what they had imagined it could be, and they fear that they cannot actually bear the confrontation of him. Gilgamesh is trying to encourage Enkidu, reminding him of his skill in combat and all they did to get to the cedar forest. Line 253, "Take my hand, friend, we shall go on together. Let your thoughts dwell on combat, forget death, and seek life." This moment demonstrates that the two of them are uniting in order to complete this journey. Without the two of them combined together, this journey could not have been made. There is then a repeat of the wisdom and advice that they had previously been provided with by the elders. This tablet is representing the hero's struggle by demonstrating the psychological strain placed on both Gilgamesh and Enkidu throughout the course of their journey. The repetition of the ritual and the fact that they have 5 dreams adds to the scope of the narrative and creates a palpability of the struggle for our characters. Had only one dream occurred, it wouldn't have been able to create the same feeling of the mysterious, arduous journey leading up to the confrontation with Humbaba. Additionally, the tone of the tablet is dark and unsettling and captures the psychic state of our protagonists. There is a sense that this journey is going against the natural order of the material world, and by extension, this journey is entangled with oppositional wills of the divine. This concludes our poetic analysis of Tablet 4. As always, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Next time we'll be looking at the battle with Humbaba, so it should be an exciting one. Thank you everyone for watching this installment of Root of Ramose. I hope that you learned something about crafting verse that you'll be able to integrate into your own writing. Personally, I think the way repetition is used in this particular tablet is really quite well done in order to craft that narrative scope and tone. Obviously, there's a clear structure created by incorporating the repeating verses, and so the narrative is able to ebb and flow between the ritual of order and the metaphysical realm of chaos. With each dream they provoke, they have to create order to allow for Gilgamesh to drop into the confusion and chaos of his prophetic dreams. So it illustrates that a journey is composed of both clarity as well as confusion. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.